Hello everybody and welcome to Going for Goldbridge. We've had a bit of a summer break, but we're back, and I want to get it back and I want to get some good questions in because that's what it's all about. And you know what, let's start off with this fight at the weekend between Rance and DT's son. Rance winning the fight, fair play to DT's son for getting in the ring. I think it was always a bit of a mismatch, and it's done, it's dusted, there shouldn't be a rematch. But obviously the fallout afterwards, and DT gobbing off and Rance sort of going in on him, has sort of started it up again, and I got dragged in because basically after the fight was over, I just did a tweet along the lines of Rance brings it home, DT takes another L. To which he replied, and the tweets are not there anymore, but I think a lot of people saw them. The tweets were something along the lines of, you don't satisfy your wife, you bent copper, Forest fan, Greens, you know, all the norm, personal stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you have a fight with him then, Goldbridge? And I just said, you know, look, my stance on this is, well, there's two things really. One, right, this boy, because I call him a boy because he acts like a child, needs to grow up. And I've said it to his face, and I'll say it on here, and I'll say it anywhere. I'm not interested in beefs or anything like that. I've seen him go on the True Geordie show and say, well, that was me last year, but now I've learned a lot from it. We've learned fuck all because you're still doing it. You still go personal, and for your own benefit, you are a role model. You know, some people will be laughing at that, but there are a lot of people who follow him. There's a lot of people who like him. A terrible role model, and maybe I'm a role model. Maybe other people are. Maybe they're, in some people's eyes, they're not good either. But he's a terrible role model, and he's got managers and people around him, and they should do a lot more because he will absolutely destroy the career he's got with the way he reacts to things. If someone banters you and says you've taken the L, considering he was gobbing off about what his son was going to do in that fight, and you know, I like his son and fair play, he's brave to get in the ring and he's done it with dignity, and you know, he stopped the fight with dignity, and you know, he can go and build his career with dignity. But his father, unfortunately, is just acting like the prat in the hat that I call him, which is banter. He wears a hat and he's a prat in my mind, and a prat is somebody like Phil Jones who misses a penalty. That is not personal, it is just banter. It's banter, right? Him calling me a Forest fan, I'll take that as banter. It's a load of nonsense, but there you go. But calling somebody's wife, saying their dad's ran off like he said about Rance, talking about, you know, personal stuff, it displays a weakness whereby this person cannot deal with banter and goes personal. And I saw it again last night where it started off between him and Rance, and you know, he said something along the lines, and he deleted it, to be fair, but you shouldn't be tweeting it. He deleted the stuff about me that was personal at the weekend, deleted the stuff about Rance, but you've already done it. You've already typed your fingers. You can think it, but you've already typed it. So he said something about his dad's ran off and then tried to justify it. Well, he said stuff about me. But that's a stupid argument, like, because DT says stuff personal about me. I don't go back with him. There's loads of stuff on social media. I don't know whether it's true or not about stuff that he's done in the past. He gets called a wife beater and stuff like that. I've got absolutely no evidence about it. Don't know whether it's true. Probably isn't true because it's social media, isn't it? And I wouldn't call him that because that's just not the way it works on social media. But it is an issue for that particular person. And as for like, well, Rance has said this about me or they said that about me, so why shouldn't I? Is that not the problem with society now? Is that not the problem? Oh, you know, you see it on... I watched The Boys in the Hood the other week. What a cracking film that is. Old film from the 90s, Inglewood. And, you know, somebody gets shot, his brother gets shot, and then they go and shoot the person who shot them, and then they get shot themselves. At some point, you've got to break that chain. And obviously, that's a very high escalation. You talk about knife crime, gun crime, whatever. But the reaction to somebody doing something to you is a flawed reaction. Anybody I ever spoke to about revenge attacks or stuff in my previous job, they would say, well, you know, he did this, so I did it back to him. And, you know, the question would be asked, do you feel any better about it? Not really. Because it doesn't solve anything. Leave the hate with the person who's driving the hate and rise above it. Because, you know, an eye for an eye and all that nonsense, I know it's in the Bible, but reality is, you know, do you need to sink to somebody else's level because they go personal with you? I never do it. And then you get people saying stupid things like, oh, well, you've got a problem. You give him banter. Why don't you get in a ring and solve it? Why don't we get on a chessboard and solve it? Why don't we run round the running track in our pants and have 1,500 metre race and solve it. Why does everything have to be solved with violence? Again, this is... Look, I love the sport of boxing. I love it. I've loved it since, I used to watch it on ITV on a Saturday night. Cracking fights. Nigel Benn, Eubank. Loved it. I absolutely love boxing as a sport, and it is a professional sport. It is not the place to get in. You don't go into a ring to fight somebody because you dislike them. And obviously we see all the stuff in MMA and in boxing, but they're professional boxers who come together, and yeah, they might dislike each other then, but their trade is boxers. You don't have an argument with someone and say, let's get in a boxing ring. You may as well get in a pub car park and do it. The politicians, roll their sleeves up and start fighting when they disagree with each other? Does Piers Morgan on a good morning start fighting with whoever the latest guest is? No, because we've moved on from that. Society should be better than that. Society is not about violence. Well, it is, but I think that's the dregs of society. If you disagree with somebody... So what we're basically saying is, if you disagree with somebody, if you're not going to get in the ring with them and fight them, you're a pussy and your opinion doesn't mean anything. So basically, what you'll be left is Twitter will be run by people who are good at fighting. And the world will be run by good people that are good at fighting. What a great, 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 great way of running the world that is. How's about people disagree with things and they either ignore each other, they back off, or they actually have a debate about it and resolve it. I just think, and everybody's so contradictory and hypocritical. Because it's like, the streets of London, there's all this knife crime and this, it's terrible what's going on. And then on social media, they're arguing with each other about, really personal stuff. I want to get in a ring. I'm going to get in a ring. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. And it's like, you know what? I like a good boxing match, but I've seen enough violence in my life from a very young age, right the way through some of the jobs I've done, to ever think that I want to get in a ring and start punching it out with people who've got an issue. To be honest with you, if that's what your solution is and that's what you want to do, I'm not interested in that. I'm not bringing up my kids or having my family and friends perceive me as that person. That's not the person I want to be. Not the person I want to be at all. Anyway, let's get into some of your questions. Alan Partridge or David Brent says United Henry. It would have to be Partridge, but I do like them both, to be honest with you. Worst ever experience in general, says Mika Cooley. We're going to go downhill a little bit here. My worst experience in general. Oh, you know what? It's not going to be anything job related or anything like that. I think, I think it's got to be the loss of people that you care about, hasn't it? Right from being quite young and losing my dog, that really hurt. I remember like the morning that she was going to go to the vet, and I remember waking up, and I was only probably 7 or 8, and I used to go to a Church of England school, so I was always quite religious. Well, it was pushed upon you to be religious. And I remember waking up early in the morning before everyone else was awake, and I was just praying for ages, saying, look, I'm not going to believe in you, God, if you don't save the dog. And it didn't die. And I always remember that. Before she'd even been put down, I think my mum had said, maybe prepare yourself for that. I remember waking up early in the morning and just praying, saying, look, please, please, please don't let her die. And, if she does, I'm just not going to believe in you anymore. And then obviously into later life, my granddad, he's the reason I support Manchester United. Fantastic man. That was tough. And then the double whammy where I did where we raised about $8,000 for the Marie Curie cancer thing a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Well, coming up for 3 years now, where one of my friends died at just over 40 of cancer. That was really quick, and that, even to this day, that's really difficult because, I'm that age now and I've got young kids, and, there's no justice in life. From what I've seen of life, there is no, you get what you deserve when it comes to that sort of thing. Good people die, bad people live till they're 90. It's just not like that. Life's not like that. And and that was an eye-opener. And then my gran died very, very quickly after that. So that, those things are the toughest things. They're the toughest things, definitely. Anyway, let's bring the mood up a bit, because you've just got to grab the day. You've got to grab the day and grab the life and squeeze it for as much as you can. Will you be watching Wimbledon, says Nawaz UK. I'll watch bits of it. I used to watch a lot more of it, but I'm just, so busy now. I don't really get the time to sit and do that. Best moment of your YouTube career so far, says LK Clutch. It's got to be playing at Manchester United a couple of months ago. That was absolutely amazing to play on Old Trafford pitch. I remember saying to Flex, if they never invite us again, we've already done it, and that was fantastic. And I, to be honest, I'm grateful to everybody who watches the channel and gets involved, because these things wouldn't happen without it. I'm not one of. I mean, talking about Alan Partridge, I remember there was a line from one of his where he says, "I'm not one of those people." You know, you get a lot of celebrities who say, "I wouldn't be here without the fans," and he says, "I'm not one of those people. I'm here because of my talent, etc." I'm not going to joke about it. I know that the success of the United Stand and what I'm doing now is because of all of you lot, 100%. So, yeah, obviously I'm a very talented person, but I'd say that was a joke, by the way. And I probably am. But, if you lot didn't watch, it wouldn't happen. So that would be the biggest for me. Although, I must always say this, and I say it to everybody, the best days of the United Stand for me were when we were getting less than 100 viewers, when we got our first 100 subscribers, when we hit 1,000 subscribers. Another comedy I love is Only Fools and Horses, and I remember when Del Boy gets, he's every show, he's like, this time next year we'll be millionaires, and eventually they're millionaires. And then when he's a millionaire, he says, you know what, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. And when I look back at it now, and I'm getting goosebumps saying this, when I look back at it now, the best bit was the journey here. Now I'm here, I've got what I always wanted, and it's not actually as good as it was fighting and cutting corners and scrapping to get where I am today. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. In any journey, enjoy the journey, whether it's the journey of life, the journey of studying, your journey, wherever your journey's going, enjoy that journey if it's the positive journey you want to take. Because I definitely look back at the first year of the United Stand, and I really do look back at it with real nostalgia, and it was nowhere near what it's become now, but it was a good time. When do we meet Mrs. Goldbridge, says Tab? I don't know. I don't think we're going to turn into that. I mean, I don't fancy there's not going to be some big reveal and we're going to start putting pictures up of her in her knickers and her bra and stuff like that. I'd be divorced and stuff. So I don't know. I don't think we'll see that, to be honest. But and why should you? Everybody's got the right. I decide to do this. Some people would never do it. Would you go out for a beer with Phil Jones or Ashley Young, says Jurgen Klopp LFC. Ashley Young or Phil Jones? Probably Phil Jones. Sorry, Phil. Probably Ashley Young if he's going to bring his packet of Uno. I love that game. It's brilliant. Would you rather work as a porn star or... Yeah, we're getting into the good questions now. This is the good bit. James McDermott says, would you rather work as a porn star or work in a prison? Porn star? Am I missing the point there, James? Like, porn star or work in a prison? 100% porn star. Like, why would you not... I'd have to... me and the wife would have to have a chat, but I'd say, look, prisons are dangerous. Weirdest place you've had sex? Yeah, I'm not gonna reveal that. There are some things. Are you going on your holidays this year, Mark? Says Abba. Yeah, I'm going back to see the fruit seller. If he's not been locked up, I think he did get locked up the day he did that to me, to be honest. Although it was nothing to do with me. I don't have a favourite player in cricket, Ibrahim. Your top 5 sports you love to watch, says he's one of our own. Football. I can't even answer that question because I'm so seasonal. I'm so seasonal with sport. I tend to watch the major events. So I like the Six Nations and the World Cup for rugby. I like the cricket when the Ashes, when we play Australia. I'll get into that. I like my snooker. I like the Olympics. There's a lot of sports that I'll just get into, but I'm not a big fan of them. Football's the one for me. You seem to be very attached to your grandparents. What's your most memorable moment that you can share, says Gurion? Well, the grandparents that really sort of had a massive part in my upbringing, they're both dead now. So my memories would be that... actually, I've got this brilliant thing that my mum had. My granddad built. He was a builder. And he went from like being very, very working class to being quite wealthy. And he ended up building this house in the countryside himself, and I've got my mum had this ornament made of that house. They don't live there anymore, they sold it years ago, but I've got that in there. So that house for me was when my mum and dad broke up, we moved into that house because it was quite big. So that house to me is always special. The funny thing is, I was only 6, 7, 8, 9 when I used to go to that house and live in it for a couple of years when my mum had separated. And I loved the house. It had massive grounds. Used to play football there. We had a pool room, everything. It was amazing. And then there was the recession of the early 90s, which hit the building industry, and they basically went bankrupt, and they ended up sort of living in a bungalow towards the end. So they had it and lost it, unfortunately. But the funny thing is, when I talk to my family about it now, they say that house was haunted. It was there was loads of issues with it. But as a kid, I had no idea of things that were going on. But sheets of glass used to just shatter for no reason. There was lots of dodgy goings on down there, if you believe in that sort of thing. But I loved it, I'd go and buy it now. And I'm not going to tell you what the house is, because some rich git will go and buy it from here. You have a day to live. What do you do? Says Gavin O'Brien. You see, I think I love that sort of question. But I have to say, I think everyone goes, I'll go down to the beach or just go on the piss or whatever. I think if somebody said to me this morning, you've got a day to live, I think it would take me most of that day to come to terms with the fact that I've got a day to live, really. So if you're saying to me, someone says you've got a day to live, but you've got a year to prep for it, on that final day, I'll probably do good stuff. But if someone said to me this morning, you've got a day to live, I'd probably be like, panic, So let's be honest. Breaking Bad is the best show on earth, mate. Love it, says Sai Hemathari. Are you still watching Love Island? What do you think? And when next season starts, are you going to watch it? And who is your favourite couple this season? Says Elliot Jack Hopday. I think Tyson Fury's brother's going to win it, Tommy and Millie May. I do watch it, but I am on my phone a lot. But the wife watches it, so, and she's a very educated person. And her sister's a very educated person, and they both watch it. So, I know Love Island is shit. It is shit TV, but there's a lot of people who just watch it for the human part to it, I suppose. I don't know. Next week, I just want all the good questions. I want all the good questions. This is what this show's meant to be all about. Did you go to university? No, Jim Levas. There is a real strange perception around me. There's a lot of bullshit. Let's talk about some of the bullshit towards the end of this video then. There's a lot of lies that get floated out about me. The Forest fan, where that started from, was a top red on a rival United channel who's quite big and on that channel. And he started the Forest fan thing as a lie 3 or 4 years ago. So the origins of the Forest fan is that person, which is interesting because a lot of people don't like that person but tend to say the Forest fan. So he started that. I'm from Nottingham, so I'm a Forest fan. But the second, what we're talking about there, this posh upper class, middle class bollocks. I'm from a working class background. I left school straight after my GCSEs. I did shit in my GCSEs. I didn't do anything after that. Didn't do A-levels, certainly didn't do university. I have a degree in the University of Life. I've done all sorts of things. I've worked in a cheese factory. Some of the charity work I went and did was just odd, but good and rewarding. I've done insurance. I've done banking. I went into the police. I did financial investigation. I've done all sorts. And now I'm doing this. So look, I've not got that background, and I just think what you achieve in life is based on the experiences you have in your life and how determined you are to go and grasp the nettle. I had a shit couple of years between the age of 16 and 18. Like, I got glandular fever, got depressed, got really fed up. Was staying up until like 3 o'clock in the morning watching films and not getting up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All my mates were like doing stuff with their life, and I was just in a depression, really. And my mum and stepdad gave me 300 quid to go on a holiday with my mate, and it changed my life because that holiday was just what I needed. And I met people on that holiday that then took me to Ireland, and that's where I met my wife. And life can change. It can change, and it's why sort of mental health. And I don't want to say I'm a depressive or anything like that, because I certainly don't think I am. I have down days, but some people have that every day. And I can only say that, the most important thing to me is that is people around you will pull you out of that pit and talking about it. But sometimes, you're so in it, it's very difficult. And you know what? Talking about Love Island, we were talking about this last night, me and the wife, about how, there's a couple on there who are, they're basically together. They've been together a few weeks. You think they're a strong couple, Michael and Amber. They separate them to go to 2 separate villas where there's lads and girls. She comes back and he's coupled up with somebody else after a couple of days. And it's like, we were talking about like relationships and this, that and the other, because everyone today, when I watch these shows, they're so expressive about their feelings and, but then people can just change their feelings and very, very quickly. I really like you, but there's something inside me saying to go there. And I just think that, we live in this world now with social media and everything's so accessible. And like, when I was dating girls, in like my late teens and early 20s, I don't think phones had even been phones weren't really about then, and if they were, it was just a text message. You didn't have this wall to wall, and I just think everybody's so accessible now. I do think mental health and depression, because depression's part of mental health, will rise. I think I worry about my kids because everything's so accessible. There's so many groups, there's so many commenting on everything now. It's a totally different world to the one I grew up in. And even then, when the world I grew up in, you know, because you're going through your teens and your hormones, you're up and down anyway. But with all this added pressure of social media and everything, I think it's very, very difficult for the youth of today. So, yeah, look, you've just got to try and surround yourself with good people. You know, I think your parents are important. If you can have a good relationship with those, because I think that you do need that balance. You need that reality balance with the hectic youth lifestyle that everybody leads now. But anyway, I'm going to close it there because I've gone on for way, way too long. These shows are meant to be 20 minutes. And to be honest with you, part of me, I really just like doing it. I like doing it. I want to bring the podcast back as well. So if people in the comments want to, if there's any big topics, you know, if you look back through the channel, we've done Madeleine McCann, we've done all sorts of topics. So yeah, Going for Goldbridge is back. I enjoy it. If you enjoy it as well, please subscribe, get your like on the video, and get your comments in below. I do want to bring the podcast back. It used to be midday on a Friday, just chatting away about such stuff that's going on. And I do like Going for Goldbridge, so make sure you're following me at Mark Goldbridge on Twitter. And when I put the tweet out, get the comments in. I'm happy to talk about anything. I'm happy to talk about anything. So, and I know there's a lot of stuff I've missed there, but we had to do the thing at the start. But yeah, I'm really up for it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon.